Ba-dum-bum. Yeah, okay. So, I come up here and grab my OBS. Grab chat. Yeah. Huzzah. The reimagined cable. Don't tell me that. Alrighty. Oh. Man, okay, well, the date is very wrong. Who's sneaking in here liking my chat? I see hearts already. Oh shoot, I got my on still. Okay. Okay. It's Possum. Hey, Possum. I was like, I have a feeling I know who it is sneaking in here. Good morning. How are you? I'm really sleepy. I stayed up doing a podcast with the Wires last night, talking about Adepticon, and I completely did not have my mic near me, and I also probably need to see how I am on volume. That sounds good. Okay. Yeah. Morning. Got to go to work, so I'll be watching, but be absent for a bit. Oh, absolutely. You do you. Just glad to have you here. I'm not sure how much I am going to be doing this morning because, again, I'm very sleepy. I stayed up way too late, talking with Dim Wire boys. So now I'm just a real sleepy bear. But got a lot of stuff I'm gonna work on today. I'm gonna have to take these off because I can totally hear myself talking. I'm the only one here. I'm gonna pull this out. Ooh, yep. A little loud. Sorry about that. I'm not gonna do that right next to the microphone. But so yeah, I chatted with the Wires last night. I believe they recorded an episode of their Dragon Turbo Lasers, which is always a pleasure to be on. Shout out to the Wires and their blog Between the Bolter and Me, as well as Instagram, YouTube, everywhere they are Between the Bolter and Me. They are wonderful. If you don't listen to them or look at their stuff, you should check them out. Today, well, not today, yesterday, I spent a good chunk of the day printing out all of the papers that I need to go full crazy in my floor. Just piecing together everything that I need to keep in mind to try and show how the game Trench Crusade works. Trying to pretty much, dissect the game, not from a, I want to figure out how to break this game. It's more of a, I want to do a very good job of showing people how this game works. I really like it, so I want to go into it in a very, very, very heavy way. I really enjoyed the gameplay. The gameplay very much. The setting fucks. It's so good. The gameplay was very explosive, and I like that because if the rules condone it, then it really, a game, the potential for the rules with just the demo game that I played, or not demo game, but learning game that I played with Atri, really like kind of showed me that it's the kind of gameplay and responsiveness that I think if you go into it with a narrative storytelling, like especially, it can be really cool. The blood markers, in particular, the way that they work. Honestly, the whole thing is very fun. I like that there's not a wound mechanic. There's just so many mechanics that I think weigh down a game that Tomas stripped out, and I'm very, very, very excited to dig into the crunchiness of the rules, to see what impacts it's going to have as far as building lists and as far as building boards, because while I am fluffy as hell, I can be very crunchy. Which, for those of you that don't know, fluffy and crunchy, those are terms that, if you do not come from a tabletop gaming world, those are terms that are very, very old. Fluffy would just mean that a list, which I'm going to get into that too. I have to keep in mind that these are things I really appreciate that my wife and I have two completely different ways of thinking. So despite being literally my other half, whenever I have a conversation with her, I often can figure out how I need to then take that and then present it to other people, because of the misunderstanding or the miscommunication issues that we will have, because we are just such different people in the way that we are meaning the same thing, but the way that we verbalize it, it comes out very different. And I'm sure it has to do with interpretation and prioritizing, I guess, probably inflection, specific parts of, what we find most important about whatever we're talking about. I'd say we'll probably put more importance on that. That's ranting. I'm getting into, why people talk the way they do. But I definitely need to keep in mind that my entire goal, so if you're watching this and you're like, hey, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, say that if you want to know, please. Not hey, I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, if you're curious about what I'm talking about, please stop me and be like, hey, what are you talking about? Because yeah, I'm trying to make this channel a fucked up Bill Nye, Bob Ross, well, somewhere along there, but for gaming, tabletop gaming. And I really want to start with Trench Crusade, because it nails so many things for me. I am a obsessively passionate World War I history buff. I find World War I utterly fascinating, and my initial complaints about Trench Crusade also were, for fear of disrespect, and I'll say, looking at the art, I don't think, looking at myself and being someone that is very easily triggered and pissed off about people being disrespectful to, especially the French during World War I, but even Germany during World War I. Germany was not, there were Nazis in World War I, but they weren't, the army was not Nazis. They were just people, everybody. The whole shit that would come later on didn't really happen until afterwards. And that's because, there's so many factors. I'm not going to get into that. But I absolutely could. I could talk about World War I history all damn day. But if you were wanting to hear that, I think the best thing to do would probably be go find someone a lot more interesting than me to talk about it. But I won't say it's Dan Carlin. Hardcore History. Go listen to Hardcore History, the blueprints for Armageddon. It's like 12 hours, but I can't stress enough. Just go fucking do it. I've listened to that at least 3 times, and every time it's so fucking good. That man has a way, and he will also say again and again and again. It's his. I love the way that he really clearly really loves what he's talking about. But his tone can be very, very humorous, and I guess the same way that mine can be, where it's just like, oh man, that guy really likes to talk about something. So it's just like you can get really passionate. But I fucking love Hardcore History and Blueprints for Armageddon. That is the one. It's a very long, multiple like section series that he does about World War One. And he goes into a lot of stuff that is very, very important. And he covers a lot of stuff that I enjoy because you won't hear just by like clicking on, whoever happens to be talking about blank. It's not just the really overarching high notes that everyone hits. He gets in there and talks about some stuff that really, I think, makes what I find horrifying about World War One so utterly horrifying. And then he also does he does one afterwards called, I want to say, The End of All That Is, which I, of course, just had to even click on just because there's a Curl Up and Die album. Actually, it's a 2-part section, which small world out there, but shout out to now defunct hardcore band. Actually, they're probably, I'd say it's grindcore, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what Curl Up and Die's genre was, but Curl Up and Die, heavy, heavy fucking music. But they had these 2, I don't remember if they were EPs or if they were full albums, but everybody who knows me knows that your boy can't help but get real excited about any meta, like, art kind of thing. It's just, yeah, but it was 2 albums, and they essentially, one was called The One Above All, or One Above All, and then the next album was End of All That Is. But I believe that they are like almost like 2 sides of like the same album, or I guess like a top bottom, a split EP essentially, an album, which that's another thing. So EP means extended play. If you're watching that and you don't know, EP is extended play. It has to do with when, everything was put onto physical media. So records are really fucking cool because they literally are pieces of plastic with a frequency, a sound, like a tonal pitch put into a piece of plastic. So when that little piece of metal clicks over it, it does that thing, and then you've got the rest of the record. There's a whole lot of thing. I don't want to get into too much sound science, but the whole thing about extended play and full play, which is where FP EP comes from, would be having to flip it because the record, once it hits the middle, it would run out. So an extended play is typically anything under 45 minutes. An EP. If you're looking for one to listen to, there's a fun one on the internet called Plateau Don't Plummet by Fur and Teeth. I'm pretty happy with that one. But that would be an EP because I think it's right at 30 minutes, and then our full length was right a little bit over 45. So we were like, okay, we're just at the point where we could call that a full length. So that's sound. EP. Yeah, no, Curl Up and Die. Curl Up and Die is real fucking sick. I'm pretty sure they've been broken up for at least a decade and a half now. But I loved the fact that they are a really heavy band. And 2, they also The lyrics, I'm a real sucker. For anyone that clearly is a fan of Jacob Bannon, I checked out Fur and Teeth yesterday. Oh, yay. Thank you, Possum. I'll send you stickers. I've got so many stickers. Shit, I'll send you an EP too. I've got so many EPs. Again, I've talked about this, but Sean and I are terrible fucking salesmen. I've not gotten any better. Well, I've not gotten any better at being a salesman. I've gotten a lot better at talking to people. Now I do this magic trick where instead of going to like a venue and a show where like I play and then I like sit with my partner in crime, just the two of us looking really pissed off with a cardboard box that says $5 on it. Instead of doing that, now I do this thing where I go to people's booths, like and exhibits, like vendors spots in like exhibition halls, and say, "Hey, I'm Eli. Let me tell you the most traumatic thing you're gonna hear all week. Woo! I want to save the world." Now I do that kind of stuff. And a lot of people got really pumped about it. So I'm really excited about that. I really want to try to make gaming a better place. And I want to do it with Trench Crusade because I'm fun. And I think that it's very funny to take a game that originally I didn't want to fuck with because I was like, yeah, fuck Nazis. But yeah, now that I have fully got from the voice, the lips of the dudes that made the art, that made the game, made the rules, I know their intentions. I've talked to Alexander, which that was another thing that, again, I can't stress enough about the 28 community and the 28 scene. I love both of them. And yesterday, I don't want anything I said yesterday because I'm fucking exhausted to come off as misinterpreted. I'm not trying to start beef with people. I'm not trying to start fights. I can come off very unnecessarily combative. That's just me. But no, I think anybody that's out there telling people how they can have fun with their little toys, they're welcome to come hang out with me as long as they're not an asshole, or trying to put other people down for really any reason. As long as you're not doing that. I get extremely defensive, especially about those that like I have like taken up, and I'm just like, okay, these are my people. I'll fucking kill you. Don't talk to them mean. So yeah, I get very defensive. So I like to make sure that everybody feels very safe. And everybody's having a good time when we play a game, just because like the world seriously has enough bad shit going on that when you sit down to have like a game where you just roll dice and you're just having fun, there's not like, what the fuck is so important that you're like, hey, I want to step in here into our little pretend world and make everybody feel a little bit bad about themselves. I don't know. It's just not for me. I've never cared about winning. I care about having fun. So Trench Crusade, why I love that it's explosive, and what I mean by that, just because I feel like that's when I was playing, and I've heard the term other people describe gameplay as explosive, but Atru was like, yeah, it's really explosive. I really like it. And I was just like, yeah, it is. I can see, and it's because of the blood markers. So in a typical game, I'm gonna just kind of handle this like you don't know anything about tabletop gaming. So in a typical game of a skirmish game, a tabletop game, you have X amount of models that are on your side, and then whoever you're playing against or with, if it is a cooperative game, because there are plenty of those out there. And I definitely, I'm gonna figure out a way to add like some roaming monsters. I'm gonna hack and back, break Trench Crusade. I fully believe that they would be fine with that if it's not already in there what I want to do. That's another thing, is knowing Tomas and knowing where Mordheim went and knowing conversations that he's had with other people, because he is a player. Like that's another thing. Like I love when you can tell people make what they love. Like that's what's important. It's important to me. So I'm getting derailed. Blood markers. A blood marker in Trench Crusade is essentially almost like a wound. or a way to track wounds. And the way that they do them, got some of my little dice. Little bone dice. I got these. I want to say these are buffalo bone. They were ethically sourced for those who are curious. I didn't source them, but the person that I purchased them from did. Which that's another thing that I have not thought about. And I'm not going to get too derailed. I'm going to keep my finger on the blood markers so I can talk about that. But Matt, totally not panicking with his Sunrot board. One of the things that I absolutely loved was that, and I'm gonna steal this, Matt. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry at all. I'm gonna be stealing this real good. He fucking knocked it out of the park. He really knocked it out of the park, especially with the presentation. And it's this kind of thing that really sells me. It sells me when you don't break my immersion to, I get out my Stanley 12-inch measuring tape and I'm like, okay, 3 inches. With Sunrot, Matt did not have measuring tapes on the table, and he didn't even, that's another thing. I didn't talk about this on my rant yesterday with the wires or on here. He doesn't tell you how far they move. He uses such abstract words that you figure out what he means. And you make up what it means. And I fucking love that, because that's how you get, I'm going to be McFeasting with Immortan in, Valhalla. Like I love the more that we bastardize this hobby and break it down and deconstruct it and rebuild it back up, I think the better it truly is. Because we're not circle jerking. And while a circle jerk can be good, I don't think hearing the same thing and just telling yourself that you're great and all this stuff, while that is helpful in, a healthy, constructive standpoint, that is good. Just constantly telling yourself, man, I made the best game ever, or this is the best way, not trying to change things, just trying to keep it stagnating. That is awful. And there's a big difference, though, between purposely seeking to change something for no reason other than to change it up. Say if you wanted to make a bunch of people have to spend a bunch of money to remake this stuff to play the game. That's an option. I don't know. Tomas, if you don't know who he is, he made a game called Mordheim. He wrote the rules for Mordheim, and I fell in love with Mordheim because Mordheim is, if you watched Game of Thrones, and you enjoyed it before it went to shit, or whoever's opinions on that, the scene where he talks about, he watched this boy just smashing the Beatles. He's like, smash the Beatles, smash the Beatles, smash the Beatles. That's the vibe. Where it's just like, yep, just meat grinder. So Bloodbath, or blood markers, the way that they work in other games, you have wounds, which is how much your model can be hurt before it's no longer in the game. Oh, you got shot, you took a wound. Oh, got stabbed, took a wound. Oh, it just clipped him. And typically that is done by having a threshold that you have to roll. You need to roll either a 4 or higher, or 3 or higher, depending on whatever system that you're using. I'm trying to cover this just as if you've never played a game at all. In Trench Crusade, 2 through 6 is a failure, 7 through 11 is a success, and a 12 is a critical success. It uses a 2d6 system. But depending on what you're doing, you will either add or remove dice. And the way that it works is I don't think you ever roll more than 5 at a time. I'm gonna have to really dig through it, but I think 5 was the most that I ever rolled. And looking through the actual rules, because the game that I played pretty much a mirror match, but understanding just the key part, which damn, it's the blood markers. Blood markers, the way that they work, are essentially like a physical marker on your model that hampers its abilities, but also they stay there, and then your opponent can like then kind of convert them to help them get a higher chance of knocking you down. And that would be like once you've been wounded, once you've been taken out of action, you know, like you put the model on its side. That's a very Mordheim-esque thing. And also, so, and I completely get that. I know a lot of people don't like to lay models on their sides, but that's, I mean, the original reason that was there is because Mordheim was a game first. It wasn't a, you have to paint this thing. So it's really weird. It's really weird now that I'm thinking about it, but Mordheim really, really, truly does summarize a lot of what I love about 28. Because the concept of it being and that's as soon as I saw Trench Crusade, I was so pumped that from the get-go, when I got involved, there was already a campaign. Like that's, I love having a group of dudes that are like my dudes, and they like grow over time. The story evolves. They become a whole different character because they're not me. They're like snippets of me, or, you know, facets of little archetypes that I'm like, that would be fun to explore. There's just so much room, and finally having a game that's just like, it's set in a world that I'm already obsessed with. I could make trenches from now until I'm dead, like, and I would be fine because I love World War One that much that I'm like, man, I just can't wait to make so many trench tables. But then you throw in, it's just like I get to be my little satanic monster self and just make nightmare fuel forever to put in the trenches. It's like, I'm so pumped. Yeah, so these blood markers, you use those to increase your ability to roll whatever you need. So essentially, if you put a bunch of blood markers onto somebody by like injuring them, it's like, okay, they get a blood marker. Okay, they get a blood marker. So essentially, it's like a representation of, as you're running through this place, like, oh, you got hit, but it's not enough to stop you, knock you down, so they get a blood marker added on them. So over time, you get while, you know, you can keep track of it with a dice, and that's what they say. They say to use a red dice, you know, with a number on there. I don't know. You can kind of get a mental image. At least I do. You know, you can see old Resident Evil 4 Leon before they did the remake or whatever. I still stand firm that, like, I'll think that your character is really badass depending on how badass they look when they're really fucked up. And that is like, I still stand with that. Dead Space and Resident Evil 4, like I know the GameCube remaster that I played, I remember I was like, man, whoever designed Leon's like move set and how he walks, they fucking nailed that, because he still looks like a badass, but you're like, oh man, he's gonna die. I think he's gonna die. I think he's bleeding out. Got hurt real bad. And the same thing with Isaac from Dead Space, which Isaac's one of just my favorite characters. Just I've always loved, and that's why I'm drawn to the idea of Trench Crusade. I love an everyman game, and that's part of why I find World War One itself was so fucking horrifying and sad in every way. Is it was like an everyman war. Nothing really good. Just nothing good. But I'm really excited to play in that play space. And I'm really excited to bring a bunch of real fucked up shit in that play space too. So today I think I'm going to be flipping through that rulebook and making notes, making all kinds of little things in it to pick out, like, hey, I need to keep this in mind so I can start planning a board. And I can start planning lists, because that is what that's going to be the first thing that I am going to start on this channel. I want to show, as I've said, how to play the games that I like to play. And I had a great time playing this game. It only requires, I believe, 6 to 20 models. So there we go. 6 to 20 models is about as low of a model count as you could ask for. It is able to be played on a 3 to 4 foot square table, which is damn near pretty much any size. So I don't know. I think it checks all the boxes for the game that I would want to use to try and teach people about the kind of stuff that I do. And the number one, I think, is that I'm fucking stoked about it. Like, because I did not let myself look at it when I was still questioning it. It was very much just like Christmas yesterday. Well, not yesterday, but since talking to them, every like new little bit of art or every new little bit of like data I'm finding, like lore, to like get real pumped about, because it's all it's grimdark over the top, but at the same time, I mean, that is a commentary itself on the original lore that it's kind of taking an angle at. And I gotta, that is one thing I need to make sure I don't want to offend anybody's beliefs. I'm back in here. Ooh, the possums are back. Ooh. Congratulations on being back. Thank you for returning to me, my possum. My sweet, sweet, sweet boy. Yeah, so I think I'm going to be working on that today. I'm probably going to keep the stream running. Like, after I'll make coffee, I'll probably just come back down and I'll just have it on while I'm dicking around. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to sit down, turn off the camera, and I'm going to go through the rule book, and I'm going to figure out, I'm going to do like real planning. Tomorrow, I'm going to probably be streaming like all day, because I'm going to start working on the converting them. Long stream, short stream, any stream. Oh, sad. I mean, I can long stream today. I could do it today too. I think it's gonna rain, so I had to. That's this is the forever. If you're not here, this is welcome to the problems in my life, and it's not like a problem. It's more of an inconvenience. But when it rains really, really, really hard, my basement takes on water. Not because I have like a leaky basement, but because of what is hyperbaric pressure underground, underneath the ground. Water's under the ground all the time. That's the water level. So whenever it rains and rains and rains enough, the water around your home absorbs enough that if your house is like here and the ground starts here, eventually enough water can rise in here that there is enough pressure on the outside that when they make your house, they dig or essentially they make, let's say they make a box. They'll pour the floor first. You can't see my hands. They pour the floor first, and then they sit the house on top of it. So you've got this 90-degree angle right there. And if anybody knows more about this than I do, please feel free to correct me if I say anything wrong. But about anything, I can't stress that enough. I don't like to be incorrect. Not that I don't mind being. I love to be corrected. I don't like to say incorrect information because I like to say very specifically what I mean so people don't misunderstand my intentions or what I'm trying to get at. Man, I got to get my water, which is upstairs. Dry mouth. Man, I lost the track of thought there. It had to do with probably Trench Crusade. Oh no, probably long stream, short stream. Tomorrow I think is going to be the one that I do a very long rain. That's what it was. It's raining in your basement. It's gonna flood. Thank you, possum. Yep, same page. The possum. So yeah, whenever it rains, the pressure, the water level comes up. There's enough pressure outside that it will cause the water to come in through that. I mean, there's not a line under my house. It's like the wall. It's just, you're looking at something that is so close together, but there's just so much pressure outside that it pushes the water in through the very, 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 very thin cracks in concrete. And so essentially my plan is to, at the time, when they made the house, my house is like 49, 1949 was when it was built. So it's older, but it's the devil that I know. And I'm planning on, they make all kinds of chemical stuff now that you can spray on the concrete to like change its like actual internal properties. Like we're really on some like alchemy level shit now. But essentially just you spray it on there to keep it from taking in more moisture or whatnot. But I need to just do the best I can to seal the basement, get all the water going away from the house. But they're also in the process, like behind my fence yesterday all day, are just backhoes, like are older but probably built better than my 63. I guess it just depends. But I bet your 63 is nice, man. I don't think you really see the issues when people are like, oh yeah, they don't make them like they used to, until you get to like 2000s. I think personally, like that is around the point where it's just like every house that I've went into, and I'm not talking shit, like it's upsetting because like, if you think about what it means, like you're like, oh, that's not good. We should maybe think about it. Like we aren't able to produce the same kinds of things that we were able to produce at one point in time, despite having God technology, because we're killing our fucking planet. It's that like you can't buy guitars with natural wood necks anymore, not just because it's not safe, but because we've done irreversible damage. Like, I don't know. That's so World War One. One of my favorite things, one of my absolute favorite things, that I've ever learned of, because it is so fucking. I don't know how everyone doesn't know about this. I don't know how this isn't a fact that like is covered anytime it's brought up, because of how crazy it is. My house ain't up to fire code. We have outlets 6 to 8 inches off the floor and live in a floodplain. Ooh, hot damn. That's a little spoopy. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I gotta put outlets in. I have to redo all my outlets in here. No, I don't have to. I'm going to. I'm gonna move. So initially, my basement. I'm gonna have to bust up the whiteboard at some point. Fuck it. I'll do it right now. I know you all like the whiteboard. I'm also gonna get my water. Holy shit. Hey now, say now. Okay, so I grabbed my water bottle, and I grabbed my whiteboard. What is that little symbol? I love that possum. That's so fun. So what did I write on here? I'm going to show you this before I erase it. That way I remember it too. I'm aware that I need to put my camera up so I can just do this on the table, but I'm sleepy and I don't want to do it yet. Hive Tyrant to Herald Catboy. That is, I've got an old 3rd edition gross ass Hive Tyrant, the metal one, that looks like the Alien Queen, and they're like, nah, we didn't steal it. I don't know what you mean. This doesn't look anything like that. I've got that old 3rd edition Hive Tyrant. Top fell off. Old 3rd edition Hive Tyrant, and I'm going to turn it into a herald of my cat boys. I messed around with it and made it have a real scary tummy and a real scary tail, bone tail. And now it just needs a head and a whole bunch of things. So, it's probably going to become something something else now. Who knows? Probably a demon. If I'm being honest, it's probably going to become a demon. Hell, it might be a... I honestly might use it for my praetor, for my cult of the seven-headed serpent. And I might make it either a like self-portrait. I don't know. I've been thinking, that's another thing I've been thinking about is, what was the World War One fact? You're edging me here. Sorry, Josh, I like to keep you waiting. I'm going to have to remember the World War One fact. World War One fact that got me pumped as shit. Oh, Iron Harvest, the Iron Harvest. So the Iron Harvest, there's a game called Iron Harvest. Iron Harvest is an actual thing. And in the game Iron Harvest, it's like, oh, it's a reference to like, it's a, there's a game called Scythe, if you've ever seen it, a board game called Scythe, and another person like Mike, whose like artwork I have followed for a very long time because I love World War One. I love World War One, and I love when artwork can capture, like a picture is worth 1,000 words. I've thought about that a lot. And I've thought about like the opposite too. Like, I didn't take many pictures, and that's because I kind of was in my deep shit like the whole fucking week at Adepticon, but it was just like pictures worth 1,000 words. Okay, that's 1,000 words that I'm not telling somebody right now. If I'm stopping and taking a picture, I'm not talking with people. I'm not spreading my truth and trying to make things better for all of us. So I was trying to do that, but with Scythe, Scythe is essentially another alternate World War One history. But there's a game on PlayStation computer called Iron Harvest, and it's, to my knowledge, it's the same. If I'm wrong, please someone correct me. It's the same artist, Dimitri, I believe is his name, something, or Thomas something. I don't remember. There's so many people whose art I love, but especially if you make World War One shit. It's a very steampunk World War One future, alternate World War One future. Iron Harvest is the video game version that they put out. That's like a tactical, like a RTS. It takes its name from the actual Iron Harvest, which is Iron Harvest is every year. This is every year for the past. Let's see, what year is it? 2025. So 107 years. 107 years they've been doing this nonstop every year, and we don't even fucking hear about it because we live over here. Or like, we don't even live in France. It's only France. So in France, when I was on my honeymoon, we went out and we had drinks with two guys, Simon and Remy. And Remy was a Frenchman, and after being in England for a week, and everybody being like, "Oh, you're from Kentucky," or "Oh, you're from Kentucky," like Kentucky Fried Chicken or the Kentucky Derby. After a week of that, we were, you are correct, it's the same world. Okay, awesome. We were outside of Beavertown, which this is also fucking wild. So Beavertown is which again, once you know whose part it is, Beavertown is a brewery owned by the son of Robert Plant, the front man of Led fucking Zeppelin, in London. So like, we went to the brewery to try and, check it out. But because that whole fucking country closes at 8:00, we get there and we find out we've got like 30 minutes because it took us forever to get there. And so we're pretty much being kicked out, and I'm walking out of the parking lot, and I've got my beer and I'm just being an American. And I'm just like, they said you don't have to go home. And I was like, well, fine, I'll just set up a tent and sleep out here. And there's a guy walking next to me, and he was just like, I'm sorry, where is your accent from? And I was just like, oh, Kentucky, Kentucky Fried Chicken, the Derby, because like, I'm at this point, I'm just like, I'm fucking tired of talking to people about stuff that like that means nothing to me. And he goes, oh, I would have thought of Bourbon. And I was just like, oh, you beautiful French bastard. of course, the only person in this godforsaken country that understands what my part of the world has truly given would be a Frenchman. And I loved Remy. So my wife and Simon pretty much bonded and talked about like entertainment, TV, really lighthearted stuff. And Remy and I just drank and talked about being comrades in World War One, and like, just like, oh no, no, no. Like, I was telling him about the Bogrons, which were, again, like they sound made up, but, and I'm pretty sure, unfortunately, just time wise, they have to be passed away at this point. They were so old when I met them, but literally it was this French dude that would come to our French class, and like his wife, and they would teach us French. They would like help us with pronunciation because they had a relationship of, friendly relationship or whatever with my French teacher. But I mean, they had to be in their 90s. But Mr. Beaugrand, and I've talked about him before, is the dude, the like master fencer. Like, he just shit on literally every single one. Everyone in our class was like, okay, it's time to try to fence Mr. Beaugrand. He's just like, touche, touche, touche. He's just this 90-year-old man that just, yeah, like with a completely dead face, he could just put a spear right into your heart, just with barely any effort. But that's not even the coolest fucking thing about this old man. This old man was part of the fucking the French resistance. So he would just talk about like smuggling guns onto like fucking little boats and up like canals in like France to kill fucking Nazis. It's just like, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. So I don't remember why I got this, but that was the whole thing about the French, and Mr. Beaugrand, and getting pumped about that. And why I get really pumped about the Iron Harvest. Iron Harvest, that's what it was. Remy was telling me. I did not know about the Zone Rouge. The Zone Rouge is literally, it's French. It means red zone. And Iron Harvest, the reason that this comes in is because of, during World War One, the sheer comical level of artillery that was like fired every single day. It is absolutely insane. It's on a level that it's like when people talk about like, oh man, everything with Warhammer is so comical, it's over the top, it's just so grimdark. It's just like, yeah, I mean, if you don't understand scale, truly understand scale, like those ships in Warhammer, it's not ridiculous to say, yeah, generations would be born, raised, die building that ship. Like, that's all they ever knew, because it's that fucking big. It's like, I don't know. I think there's definitely people that have to live in like major cities that have never left their home, like major city, if it has, millions of people living in it. Like, it's like that, but you don't have the sky. And so these kinds of things, it's just like, they sound really crazy if you don't live anywhere actually kind of similar like that. But all it takes is like a little bit shift in perspective to see it's like, that's not that far off. So when I'm talking about that with World War One specifically, is the sheer amount of artillery shells that were fired is so absurdly comical. Like, it's just bonkers. Not even billions. Like, it's so high, like the number unknown. And that's why literally, World War One was 1914 to 1917, 1918, 1914 and 1918, I believe. 1917 is when we got involved. 1914, 1918. So, it's 2025. So 106, 107 years. Every year there's still, it's an entire division of like the French government. There are French employee workers like that go out in these like big, essentially like tractor like kind of things, and they look for unexploded shells because there is so much iron in the earth that it has poisoned the planet and made a huge section. There's a huge section of France that to this day is considered unlivable. I went to the Patent Museum recently, and out of all of it, one that hit me was looking at the Panzerfaust and seeing that they made over millions of them. Yeah, like that's crazy. Which Panzerfaust? That's the single, like yeah, you pop it out, just single use rocket, if I'm remembering correctly. Those for some reason put into perspective, dude. Yeah, like I'm talking to Josh here, Josh Brown. Yeah, Josh Brown. Here's my wife.
Hi. I kick tape. So.
It's okay. Girl, go kick tape.
Here's tape. I was trying to figure out how to get to it.
Hi. Ooh. I wish you would tell me what you need over there and let me get it.
I think I washed something over the weekend and forgot to put it in the dryer.
Oh, no. Hello. Possum said hello.
Hi.
So, yeah, my rant about that. All this iron just in the ground literally has killed the planet but yeah, something as niche as a RPG having numbers like that, just crazy to fathom the rest of it. Yeah, that's it. If you don't think about it and actually try to make sense of it, you don't really understand how horrifying it is. And by it, I mean just like a lot of things in this world. Like, that is fucking scary. Yeah, why did they make millions of things to blow up tanks? Like, were there that many? Like, it's the same thing. Same thing with like, I mean, Russia made a shit ton of Mosin Nagants and like, AKs. Like, the memes of like, oh yeah, a house is built out of AKs in Soviet Union because they didn't make food, they made guns and potato. So, again, I'm not picking on just them. It's the world. It's our species. Like, all of us are capable of doing that regardless of where we are from, of just being like, you know what, I think maybe we should just devote every bit of our work effort into stop making us, and to stop making us exist. It makes me think of how fragile it all really is, the world and the balance, especially these days. Yeah. I don't know how we survived as a species through World War I, honestly, other than I think enough people like what I'm trying to do rose up and said, we should stop doing shit like this. And I'm not saying rise up like I'm trying to do. I'm just saying enough people said, hey, I think I can see a lot of things that are wrong in this world, and I don't want to do them anymore. I'm not going to play like that anymore. Not just our game, but I mean the world. And with our game, I say that by me because I can make a difference here. I really, truly can. And I know that I can. The industry that I was in, I really would like to have made a difference, but I barely was able to get my opinion out because of just the situation. People that when money gets involved, especially, nobody wants to take advice from somebody that clearly knows what the hell they're talking about. But if you admit that, and you admit that they know what they're talking about, then you also admit that maybe the things that you said that they had to do to fit into the criteria to know what they're talking about, maybe that is complete total dog shit. And maybe by acknowledging that this person knows how to do what they're doing and doesn't meet your criteria, you're worried that it's going to kind of expose how much of a joke all of it really is. So there's that. And then the fact that corporate America is just very much really anything. I mean, and it's just capitalism at itself. I've had more money than I needed. I don't need more money. I need to be fucking happy, and I want other people to be happy. And that is pretty much why I am doing what I'm doing. And it's really fucking rad that I've gone around, the past week, and no one actually knows what the fuck is going on. I feel like I'm winging it that's it, dude. Like, I can't stress enough that at any level of your life in which you were thinking like, man, that doesn't sound right, But I'm going to just assume they know what they're talking about. Yeah, don't just assume. If someone says something that sounds really fucking dumb and crazy and stupid, call them out on it. Be like, hey, that sounds really dumb and crazy and stupid. I don't think that's a good idea. Because unfortunately, we're at a state that we can't afford to keep going on like that. And I really want to try and fix the world in any way. And I know that the best way for me to do that is to get out there and to have fun and show people that I can grab and be like, hey, play a game with me. And show them who I am and show them that there's nothing about the things that I do that are dangerous, that are not safe, that are going to get anyone hurt. And I mean, other than that, the only thing dangerous or that's going to get anyone hurt is that they might make people actually question and think for themselves and actually think about what they need to be happy. Because that is what I was given. This hobby, I mean, really, I've talked about it a lot, but I haven't really like talked about it. But like, I mean, last year I realized now I was intentionally trying to achieve eco death, and then I succeeded, and that definitely fucked me up in a particular way. But it's for the best. I don't know how many of you actually appreciate the Myers-Briggs personality test, but I retook that recently, and it was very fun because the idea of taking it like again is kind of weird, but it's just like, wow, I've changed a lot after everything, and I wanted to see if that did have a difference. And yeah, it turns out unlocking empathy, my empathy achievement, is very, very different. So I went from being an ENTJA, which is the commander, to an I don't remember. It's whatever the debater is. I'll have to look it up. But essentially, it's all about, hey, commanders, and it is very accurate. I mean, it's not, my personality type was not by wanting to not care about people. It's a self-defense. Like I can't care about the world, the entire world, or I'll gut myself. Like, yeah, there's just so much of that. But then I think eventually the less of me that I was aware of here, the easier things kind of became. And I can rant about that more. Sorry, I'm even just listening to you talk in the morning has made a difference for me. I usually have you on while I do things while getting home. Work in the morning, your passion is infectious. Thank you. No, that's it, man. And you can talk about like anything, like oh, games. I love games. I love making little models. I love things, but like you can tell when someone enjoys what they do and when they're just like trying to get you to do the thing for their own reasons. And legitimately, I would like people to try to play this game because I think they will have fun. Two of my favorite people that I met, and then I am going to go because I do got to make coffee. Two of my favorite people that I met, and I'm so sorry I don't remember their names, and I don't think they're watching this, so that's a positive. But I went to go get coffee one morning at the Starbucks, which that I'm gonna have to talk about that because that motel. I was the only one who really, really, really liked the hotel, but that's because I was already like on a spirit quest and I didn't know where I was going, and then I just walked into this room and it was fucking wild. It was like some real Dune shit. I gotta go make coffee. I gotta make this quick. So I was getting coffee and this guy was behind me and his wife was just like, "Oh, can you get me a blank, 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 blank?" And he was like, "Yeah, I can do." And then he was just like, "Yeah, I didn't remember any of that. You think you can remember for me, buddy?" And I was like, "What?" Because my brain's fried. And he was like, "Oh, I was just making a joke." And like, instead of being like my grumpy, like, "Don't talk to me, I'm a little grumpy bear," I was just like, what am I doing? This is a prime example to be nice to someone that clearly is like newer in the hobby. And it really made me happy. Like I was sleepy and tired, but it's just like seeing two people that have like just like this guy and his wife They just started to get into all of this, and they're at that point where it's just like, man, we like the idea of playing these games. We like the idea of this. We really would like to try it ourselves. And it's just like, I pretty much just talked to them about so much stuff. I invited them down to the Grimdark hallway. They came down there, gave them some stickers, and then just saw them throughout, the weekend. And it was just really exciting because it's like, I'm so pumped that I got to be the one to talk to them about what I love and not someone that talk to them about what they hate. So, and on that, I think I'm gonna bazounce. But I love you all. You are wonderful. Take care, and I will be back tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna stream later today. I think I am gonna stick to just trying to today be productive. Tomorrow I'm gonna stream all damn day though. So, but take care. Sit pretty. See you guys later.